they know I'm a joker. They're like, oh yeah, somebody got hit by a
Yes,
bull.
that's-
And then I get another call, and I say, hold on a second, somebody else just got hit by a bull.
Wow, we would have never believed this. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google. Go out there and listen to us. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too. Muscles Matter. Thank you for joining us today. I'm here with my friend Steve Southers. Yeah.
I missed you.
Yeah, I know. We haven't caught up. Thank you for going to the show with me, you and Priscilla.
That was absolutely fun.
I had a great time with you guys.
It was an honor to be able to sit on the front row with you guys. I mean, I felt like special, like the Grammys watching. I think it was so cool that you got honored. I think that was awesome.
I had a lot of fun being with you. Thank you for you and Priscilla going with me. Here with my good friend now, Randy Martin. Randy and I have known each other for a lot of years, but I didn't get a chance to sit down with him and find out more about him, which is fascinating. I mean, I love your vision for a business, which couples together with your purpose and your passion. And he is becoming an expert in coffee because of the purpose and the passion. And he also played soccer, played football, and you coached football.
And soccer, yeah.
And what else in soccer? Yep. I love that. And Steve, as I was talking to Randy, I believe as much Randy's ministry with coffee as I do your ministry with nutrition.
Yes, no, I've heard of his shop. I mean, I'm very familiar with his shop. That is for sure, and it stands out. I mean,
well, it's like if you would go into Sportslanders West, which you can go to, and where is it located?
7420 District Boulevard.
Yeah, right across from Nestle's ice cream.
Oh yeah, that place.
So Steve, you go into Covenant Coffee, and it's like going into Sportslanders West. You might come out with prayer. You might come out with a word from Jesus. And if you come in when Pop's there, you might have the Holy Spirit speak over you, right?
Yes.
There you go. Trifecta.
Yeah. So when you go into Randy's Covenant Coffee, you're going to have the same experience.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Covenant Coffee has a purpose, but Christ is the thing. So how did you get? I mean, a lot of people, and I know Steve and I, you get involved in fitness when you're young. So
right.
What brought you into fitness and realizing that your body was a tool that you could exploit for sports?
Wheaties.
Huh? Wheaties?
Yeah. Bruce
Really?
Jenner.
You believed in the commercial or the
It
box?
was just the box, man. Just the box. It was all about the Wheaties. Just sitting there. You don't have a bunch of stuff to do when you're raised as we were at that age. So the box was like your TV.
Yeah.
You just stared at it all day as you're eating your Wheaties, and they'd put him up doing his incredible decathlete stuff.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
I think Steve would feel about Wheaties like you do about Starbucks coffee.
oh yeah, I'm not saying it's an accurate depiction. I'm saying that's the story. You
Oh, no,
asked
I
for
under-
it. That's the story. It's Wheaties box. I mean,
You
he
weren't
was
allowed
on
to
it.
get up from the table, and
Yeah.
the only thing you had to read was the box of cereal.
Right.
we didn't have iPads.
Yeah. So I had some Wheaties and seeing athletes there, and then of course TV was you got to look forward to Mutual Omaha's Wild Kingdom or Wild World Sports, and you didn't
Yeah.
want to be the guy flying off the building.
What was
in
it?
The skis, the agony of
Defeat.
Yeah.
thrill of
Yes.
victory, and the agony of defeat.
We all know that guy flipping and
Oh, yeah.
tumbling down the ski slope.
Yeah, so I mean that's it. And then, the Olympics, and so TV growing up was much more of a selective choice, not because of the vast number of channels, because it was the only thing on that wasn't, the news or a cartoon. And so sports were a big part of it. So knowing that, and then growing up, the youngest of 6, and my dad was a coach and an educator. So
I didn't know that.
I grew up on the laps of football players. Film was at my house. All the coaches were in my house. So technique, strategy. So even though I dabbled with that, my scholarship sport was soccer. But knowing football from the mind of a 2-year-old to an adult, I mean, I can tell you about 3-3. I can tell you what the defense is doing, offense is doing, even though I don't necessarily have to follow the sport. But I just grew up on the laps watching film.
It just you absorbed it. You kind of absorbed their knowledge.
Yeah, so I mean, it just happened, and then you back it up, watch film again, and then being at all the events, my dad was an administrator, so he was at every basketball game, football game, baseball game, whatever it was. And so just being around athletes and playing all the time, because if you're not in the game and you're a kid in the stands, I was able to run loose and fancy free.
Under the stands.
Yep. Made money.
The game was under the stands,
Yep,
right?
made money. Getting purses for people crawling through. But no, so that was the love of athletics, and just at a very early age decided that I wanted to play soccer from watching a PBS channel. Played some ASO, and kind of that took off, and then immediately began on my own because there was no coaches, playing on my own as a 10, 11-year-old, and just making up drills, subscribed to a weird little magazine that was about the size of a greeting card called Soccer Digest.
Oh, wow.
And it was all in like messy print. Your hands would get all inky. And just began that passion for soccer. Me and a ball, that's all I needed. And I could make up my own drills. So by 13, I was playing in men's leagues in Los Angeles because there was no club teams here for any kids. So then high school soccer didn't even start till I was a sophomore.
That is the thing that there again, I like it when people, call it soccer, because we know football is American football. In your industry with soccer, they call it football. When you get into Europe and some of the South American continent and countries, but there was no soccer.
No.
When I was in high school, I remember kicking the soccer ball around. You got to remember, I went to high school when the dinosaurs walked the earth.
I thought you told me the other day you sat behind Moses in third grade.
There again, I graduated in 1976, so you just didn't see it. But I remember everybody was playing it, and I was like, "Why don't they have this?" Everybody's playing it, but why don't they have it as CIF, which California Interscholastic Federation? It was just this, but then they did. So like you said, absolutely, we didn't have anything here, so you had to go to LA to...
until my sophomore year. So I wrestled my freshman year because the wrestling coach saw me and said, you look like you can handle yourself. And
why did he say that? You look fit?
I was very stocky and 105.
I'm sure he did a lot of his dad's football drills.
Yeah, and all that stuff. Yeah, so, and he knew my brothers because he taught there. So he's like, I need a varsity 105. So I wrestled varsity 105 without ever learning how to wrestle.
I love that. What school was that?
East
High.
Rudy Gonzalez.
Oh yeah, Rudy.
And that was a ton of fun. Slept on my back for a couple months after that. If you know how to wrestle, you know how to wrestle.
Well,
I could beat up kids that didn't know how to wrestle. But if kids knew how to wrestle, I just pretty much, here's my wrist. I know you're going to get it eventually. I'm going to save you the trouble of dragging me around this mat,
Yeah.
But I could bridge. I would have refs come up to me and say, man, I've never seen a kid bridge like you. I go, well, I didn't want to lose this one. Because he was climbing around you like a jungle gym.
Up on your neck.
Oh, yeah.
I love that, Randy.
Horrible.
So tell us how it continued on, with soccer.
Yeah, and then soccer, and so just just like you guys know about life and athletics, you just you're trying to better your best, advance your skill. I was learning as much as I could from other people, and sometimes that was usually for me TV, watching because there was no real people to watch, and then playing in leagues where people were better than me. Much better than me down in Los Angeles, and getting that exposure and seeing, okay, I want to be that and I want to try that. And then coming back home and working hard every day, to where when I left high school, I was the highest scoring goal leader in the history of that time. And then we won some SYL stuff. And then I was, I think, probably the first scholarship athlete to get a full ride.
Oh, where'd you go?
I went to Cal State.
Oh yes.
So yes.
So you might know my cousin Matt Touchstone.
Yeah. So
he played out at Cal State
there, and then after that, just as you grow older and you try to shift and do other things. I was riding and racing mountain bikes by probably 87, but still always doing soccer. But soccer just takes your toll, lateral movements on your knees. So I've had 7 knee surgeries, and so learning how not to run but try to be productive, and then going through the aging process and having residual fitness to somewhere around 30 something, and then just going, wait a minute, I used to be able to eat 20 pizzas, and now if I look at a pizza, what is this
Oh, the joys of becoming an older athlete.
But so back to your thing, just following the process of working hard at something and
so Steve and I know Steve's got some questions in his mind because Steve always has very thoughtful questions, which I don't know if mine are thoughtful, but I get interested. So you had a dad. Was he old school coach? When I say old school
very
coach,
much.
I think we all know what it is. Nowadays, there's not a lot of old school coaches out there because I think athletes complained.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, but those of us who grew up under old school coaches, they would withhold water breaks.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying it's what we all dealt with, right?
Yeah. Very loving, very kind, but you need to do your job. And everybody on the team has a lane and a job and an assignment, and you need to do it. And I was there once, and he was very upset with the linemen because they weren't tracking. He was saying, you're going forward and back unless I tell you otherwise. And so that's your job. And so he ripped a plank off the East High bleachers, and that's how they had to do their drill, with their big lineman bodies and their feet tucked under a 8 to 10 inch thing, trying to stay forward and drive somebody back and forth on a plank. And that's how old school it was. And other than that, it was hills and just repetition. We're going to keep doing it.
Rub some dirt on it. I'm hurt, Dad. Rub some dirt on it. I mean, how many times do we hear that?
Yeah, are you hurt or are you injured?
Yeah.
If you're hurt, go catch your breath and get back in the game. If you're injured, get out my face.
Yeah.
No blood, no foul.
Yeah. We all know that. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's how we were raised.
No, I do think it's different, and I don't appreciate soft people.
If there's something I think that as you grow up.
Did that come out wrong?
No,
not in this room.
Because I think we're under the same impression. We don't believe everybody should get a trophy.
Right.
Just because you participated. We don't believe everybody is going to get the same amount of playing time.
Right.
I always tell people, when they say, well, it's more about the game, I go, then why do they keep score?
Right.
I go, it's more about the game. Let's just play. But if they're keeping score,
wouldn't be a Hall of Fame. There wouldn't be a championship at the end. I mean, these things happen for a reason.
Yes. So I agree with you, Randy.
So I think old school, I do love it. I do love the attitude of, getting there on time and being a learner of your craft and being humble. I've always noticed that it's not always the most gifted athlete, but it's the most persistent and the most persevering athlete that will rise to the top. And you always see the gifted people, and there's nothing you can do about it except hurt them, or they would hurt themselves. But a mediocre or middle grade person like me that puts in effort,
and
they'll
you
get
go
a great
study
reward.
The game.
Yeah.
And you put in the work. Tim Tebow has a saying, and I think we all abide into the saying, at least I do, that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Right. That's a great saying.
And so there's a lot of times that you can go out there. We've all known people who are like, holy guacamole.
Especially in our sport.
Yes.
Especially in our sport.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Steve excels in powerlifting and physique development more than I do. So, I love the we take, what I love about what Steve and I do as far as iron is it's now incorporated in all sports. Because I think probably when you were growing up, did you guys get involved with a lot of weight?
Right.
Lifting?
Yeah, we had the blessing of having a guy named Ernie McLeishko, who was the swim coach for the men. So he was on to some very early developments of, titration and moving your performance goals, and also you're being strategic in practices so that you're not too tired before a game. So he would do weird, wild stuff with the swimmers. So that bled into other cultures of the programs. And then also intensity training was huge. So we would do, Simon Tobin was our coach then, and being an English guy.
The Tobins are legends in town.
Being an English guy with a weird penchant for music, we would do 30-second to 45-second bursts, and just intervals around the weight room. So you would just hit it as hard as you could for that amount of time. Then there'd be a 30-second song break while you're shifting to the next machine, and we'd do that. So some of that stuff was incorporated pretty fast for us. But
it's called hit now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did that. Just
you didn't know what you're doing, but
didn't run. We did boxes. So they were doing some fun stuff back then. But yeah, I think being on the edge is always good.
Yeah. So what do you do now? You got 7 knee surgeries.
Yeah.
So you can tell when it's going to rain, right?
7 knee surgeries, 2 hand surgeries, spinal fusion.
Yeah. So you've appreciated your body and you've used it and abused it.
Yeah. My dad passed last July, and he had a famous saying, if I knew I was going to live this long, I'd taken better care of myself.
We say that all the time.
I'd ate better.
Yes. Muscle therapy would have been a lot more used.
So now it's a lot of trying to trick the old body. Cycling is my jam because it's my knees are okay. I can't run. If I run at all, I hit the idiot button and try to dance like a youngster. I need to dance like I'm in a walker and just move very gently side to side, try to leave the lateral movements out. And, you get out and start having too much fun. I wake up the next day and my knee's just as big as a house.
So you transitioned, it sounds like, from a sport you loved into cycling. Yeah. And was it a necessity thing? Like you said, your knees just weren't supporting.
Yeah, it's the only real movement that I could do. Weights and I have a love affair, but I have a body that responds to weights not as much as it used to with the loss of muscle
Steve
mass.
Has that problem too.
But I do think that early on, man, I couldn't wear jeans because my thighs would get too big, and so I had to watch
Steve's calves get too
kind
big.
of some stuff, high rep, it's just I could not.
It's a blessing and a curse, right?
Yes.
So long story short, cycling was one of the things that was agreed upon by some doctors that this would be a great thing for you. Swimming, to me, I'm not going to swim. I think swimming should be left alone for recreation, in my book. So I'm going to do cannonballs. I'm not going to go do laps, and I'm not going to spend. But recycling, I can do a destination. I can go from one town to the next, or do something, go see something I've never seen. I'm not going to swim to anywhere.
Well, you got some interesting cycling stories.
Oh yeah.
Did we get to dive into those yet?
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Tell me a little bit about this bull contest you guys had.
Yeah. So it's the Rock Cobbler. My friend Sam Ames came up with it, and we've been supporting crew and cast. I'm also known as Taco Man out there. So if you ever see me in a taco suit, or look up
Steve,
Taco Man 6.
Me of you. He gets in a taco suit, and he advertises, and he does his gig. I mean,
and I ride in the taco suit. It's like wearing upholstery of a '76 Chevy Impala in heat.
Yeah.
And I was up a cow trail between here and Breckenridge on one of the rides 2 years ago, and a young guy comes zipping by me, and that's why we call it the Cobbler, because there's Cobbler Canyon, a bunch of pebbles, and so these guys come from all around the world to do the ride, and I'm Taco Man. I encourage them, but I'm always out on the ride, and so I'll do that day typically 40-45 miles, but in a taco suit. And so I'm dying on this canyon. It's hotter than snot back there. And, man, I'm just going along. And this kid says, "Ooh, Taco Man's on the struggle bus. So I got your bib number. I'm going to see you back at the camp." He was full on right, but I did not like that comment.
Yes.
So I still had another half mile to climb straight up. And so it's a fun race. People come
Now,
from
how long has
all
this been
around the
going
world.
on?
This was the 10th year this year.
So 10 years.
A decade.
1,000 riders this year. This year, since it was year
Where did it
10,
start, though?
we
Where
went
did it
back
start?
through my house again. So
Where
Made
did
your
it
wife
start?
happy, huh?
You have 1,000 riders, but it didn't start there.
no, it started at about 12,
12.
and then every year it grew incrementally.
And last
It's called a gravel ride, so it's not road bike tires and it's not a mountain bike. Some people will try both, but it's a new bike called a gravel bike. It's a hybrid adventure.
and it goes through your house.
That twice it has. This year was for sure.
So tell us about the bull. Has the bull helped get more riders in since they saw what happened? Tell them what happened to the bull.
So
We'll get the video.
the course goes out and goes around Mountain Road, and then goes up through a person's personal property. And part of that property is an active ranch. And so we put right in the rider guide, hey, there's livestock and stuff going on the active ranch, so just stay away. And so,
That's like
997 people did. The 3 people did not. And they literally ride right into the bull.
And they look like, as we've previewed the video, they look like little soccer balls, right?
Oh, yeah. It's
When
horrible.
He pitches them up in the air.
I mean, thank the Lord, literally nobody got
Well, good thing he
That's
wasn't
what
angry bull.
myrtleized
Yes.
or stepped on.
Yes.
It's still amazing to me that we still see people that go to Yosemite and they take a picture with the bison, and the bison just takes his head and pitches him 10 foot in the air.
Did you guys have a conversation with these people? Like,
oh yeah,
what? Like, I want to know what. You know what? I'm gonna ride at the 2,000-pound bull. Like, weight alone, you're losing that. It's like I'm just gonna run into a wall with horns.
Yeah, I don't know. I really, it's one of those things where I don't know what was going through someone's head other than the bull's hooves.
So did you hear about it? Because you have the video now, but where were you at in the ride?
I was at SAG 2, so that's a support and gear station. We have 5 of them around, and I had ridden to SAG 2 to ride back to where the bull's at and get some footage for the video you saw. And so I got a call on the radio, hey, somebody just got hit by a bull. I'm like, no.
So what is your first impression when you get that call?
We have 3 911 rotating people all around the course, calling those guys, and they know I'm a joker. They're like, "Oh yeah, somebody got hit by a bull," and then I get another call. And I say, "Hold on a second, somebody else just got hit by a bull."
No, so I like the verbiage. They got hit by the bull, like the bull hit them.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, no,
no, they didn't. Yeah, they ran into the bull, but that was the deal because we didn't know what was going on until then. We literally were thinking, what do we have on our hands? A bull run around just goring cyclists.
That's what it sounds like.
And that's why
we've all seen the Mexican bullfighting.
And that's why the bull.
That's why I was thinking like.
That's why the bull hired an attorney this year, and that's what got a lot of the attention. I hired my friend an attorney, and the bull, did a full interview, and we sued the cycling community because of defamation of character. And, you can't do that.
It was his home.
Mind my own business, and you mess the bull, you get the horns. That was
pretty much.
I'm not coming into your house, and
but you do let the bikes ride to your house.
Yeah, that's true.
So the first time you let the bikes ride through your house, did you have that conversation? Or did you just kind of go surprise?
No, that's a conversation. That year was about 500 people, and
through your house.
500 people went through your house.
Yeah, this year was 1,000. The first year was 500.
So what did your wife get for this?
A new
vacation,
floor. New floor. Yeah, whatever she wanted. Basically,
Was she home doing any of this time?
Oh yeah, I loved it, and she's a champ. She just loved it. She loves encouraging. And these people, some of them think they're dying. You guys have done it. When you've hit that wall.
Oh yeah, so I've hit the wall. I've never rode a bike and hit.
There's people that just hit it hard because depending on where we are at in the ride, and then there's other people that are like, we just went through somebody's house. Right, and it doesn't happen anywhere in the world, So it's made some international news, but the bull thing was particular. But going back to your question, it was a conversation where it's like, hey, you want a new floor? We need.
So there was bribery initially.
Yeah, and then by that time, she's been around it for that many years. She loves it. She loves seeing that. I think that's a neat thing about sport is when you see somebody doing something that they shouldn't be doing, and that's very difficult. They train for it. They're working hard for it. That about 90% of the world, maybe even higher, would never be able even to attempt it.
Yes.
And these people are out there killing it. Except the kid that told me I was on the struggle bus. That kid sending a taco man.
Got a charcoal in his stocking that year.
But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. When you see people, you want to encourage them. So if you see that guy hitting that weight, he's never hit before, you're like, man, brother, you got this. You can do this. Come on, one more rep. And so that encouragement pulls into my Christian faith with the Barnabas Project, is that really it's a sideline into just encouraging people and trying to
Tell
love
us a little
them.
bit about that project.
No, that just made up that word right
okay.
now. So
I was waiting for the rest of
that's
it.
That's it, buddy. We're doing it right now. This is the Barnabas Project.
Well, but Randy brings in his faith like you do, Steve.
Yeah, I've been to the shop before.
In everything he does.
Yes.
It's so funny. I remember when I had my first Bible study, and I've told this story before, but I had a bunch of gym rats at my house, and it got quite big. And my wife was going to have our first child the next week, and I remember her. She was standing up she was up on this staircase, and she was looking down at me. I used to have a 5X shirt, and she had it on, and her stomach was just like stretched it tight. And she goes, "Hey, next week you can't do this." And I go, "Do what?" She goes, "This, because we're gonna have a baby." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So I looked at the guys. They go, "Hey, next week you can't be here." They're like, "Where are we gonna be?" I go, "Not here."
Right.
But it's just funny. Like you get caught up in what you're doing. And so my wife was like that, and so they had to move the Bible study, and that was that
Yeah.
was that. But I was caught up in what I was doing. So I love that you can get, and I think that's what I like about you, Randy, is that you insert yourself in something, and then once you find a passion in it, you bring your personality and your faith, but you do it and you have fun in doing it.
Yeah, and it is. But I really do think, like you were saying, is that when you see those guys out there and you're building people, whether you're building those guys in your home and encouraging them to not only get the right workout in, but then encouraging them to work out their brain and their heart and their faith muscles just as much. And that's why I think that, when we have those opportunities, whatever it is, if you can use sport as that vehicle to advance the kingdom, and more so the kingdom mindset that you can be humble.
Yes.
You can be the best guy in the room, but still be humble.
I guess for me, I'm still thinking, how do you ride in a taco suit?
Yeah.
It's not something everybody does, but you do it, and then when you take a jab from a guy, you're still a dude.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got your bib number.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, we had a conversation. But, no, it's just fun because it is a competitive sport. And
Yes.
you train and you want to get faster and you want to be faster than that guy. And you see a guy in front of you and you're marking your time of when you can attack him and when you can fall off. You also need to know when you need to not hit it hard because you've looked at the trail map and know that, okay, I've got a 6 mile climb coming up that's going to gas me.
How many young bulls do you watch
I need
take
to
off?
pull it back. Oh yeah, I tell them all the time, and then at the end they hate it because I'm like, they're like, they'll be struggling, man. It's like mile 81 or something. Hey man, just one more turn, one more corner, bro, and you're there like, Taco Man, I'm not gonna listen to another word you say. But those same guys, when we get back to the thing, they go, buddy, I wouldn't have made it if you weren't out on the course.
You know what I want to do?
Because they say that they actually recall that moment that, and I'm just always, yeah, you got LA, saying the craziest stuff, ringing a bell or whatever. And then they see me pop up somewhere. It'd be like seeing me here, and then you get in your car and suddenly you see me on Baker. And then you get back in your car and then you see me at BC. Then you get back in your car and you see me in oil. They're like, Taco Man, how many of there are you? Well, they don't know I know all the shortcuts. So I keep showing up, but every time I'm encouraging them at these beastly moments where they're hacking lungs, they're hitting 195 on their Garmin and just, ready to give it in. And, just saying, hey, man, you can make it. Don't worry, bro.
Well, what's very cool is I've had Kerry Ryan on our show. I've had Joe Peterson on the show, and we've had is it Ames?
Sam Ames.
Sam Ames and Adrian, and now you.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have them all back on the show and have you host it, Steve.
Yes.
I'd love to have all you guys back on the show.
Those guys are all studs. I'm a Taco Man.
No, dude.
Yeah.
We got to wear the taco suit.
I will do that. Hey, you don't have to encourage me, buddy.
But
I might even come as the bull.
But you know what's so amazing is they all have these interlocking stories about the moments because, and I think, Steve, in people who run ultra marathons or bike more than 100 miles or whatever, there's a lot out there that really happens. I remember Joe Peterson telling us about the story of him getting off track. He thinks he's off track, and he's actually in the Gettysburg Cemetery.
Wow.
When he has this moment where God tells him, "You're not off track. You're right on track," and he finds out he is.
Wow.
So they each have these conversations inside their head because it's a long ride.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of time to think. That's not something I know in where you excel, Steve, in powerlifting and on the stage. Sometimes we get in our heads, but we don't have to, we can do it in one place, the gym or that. But you guys are out in nature, up on when you get a flat tire at 5,000 feet.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to take a while to...
Not to mention, you probably get up to 70, 75 miles an hour coming downhill in dirt.
You're fast.
Yeah,
50's about at 50, 55.
I saw one of those commercials that you were showing us, and all of a sudden the guy had a GoPro on. All of a sudden,
yeah.
His day got worse.
Oh, yeah. And they all, a lot of DNFs, and some of the DNFs are guys that, we've had pros.
Running for the bull?
Yeah, pros DNF just didn't finish. They just don't have the mind fitness for it, because I think you guys obviously know that a lot of it is that mental game, mental toughness, and preparing yourself and making sure you're doing the right things, whether it's your pregame or your mid stuff, or nutrition's huge. These cyclist guys, man, they're
They
freaky
got it down.
about their nutrition.
They got it down.
And they all weigh about a pound. You know, I mean, guys, look at this guy, 6'4", 140. I'm like, you're like a little teenage girl.
It's so funny, Steve.
But his engine is huge, and he can blow out like 400 watts, just like nobody's problem. Then get it up to 6, 7, and you're like, come on, your VO2
Steve's
max,
too
all
wide.
this stuff's just nuts.
He creates a lot of wind resistance.
Yeah.
When he's
Me and the seat would not be friends.
No. But you know what I mean, though. I mean, it's just that you got to have that mental capacity to say, hey, and be that guy that goes, I'll do one more rep, or I'll go one more mile, or I'll climb one more hill. So
I love it. Why don't you, Steve, why don't you finish up with a question afterwards? But tell the audience anything that you'd like to, Randy. We've had 3 great shows with Randy. Muscle Matters, which you're listening to now. Lunch Break, which you'll hear about his purpose and his passion. And then also Ministry Matters, which Randy does a great job explaining the ministry process, how you get in, how it affects you and other people around you. So you want to catch all 3 of the shows that Randy's on. So take the last couple of minutes and finish it up. And Steve, you send us out.
Sure.
Yeah, so I would just say, thank you so much for having me. It's been a real treat. And muscle does matter. And, the Bible has a story about God says, and exercise profits.
Yes.
Right. So you need to be taking care of your temple. I need to be taking care of my temple. That changes throughout the course of life as we go through different stages and phases, and and illnesses, but it doesn't mean you have to give up or give in. You can still keep that mental toughness and do whatever you need to do to take that next step. And then I think one key concept I learned when I was a kicking coach was muscle memory. So the last thing an athlete needs to do when they have a repetition movement is to get off that movement. But if you can get that muscle memory down by executing the right way, the right time, then it could be 1,000 people in the stands or just your grandma. But you're still going to do the same thing because your muscle memory has taught you that. When we put that into the faith perspective, we should build up enough God memory in our hearts with our own personal testimony, reading scripture, praying, disciplines like fasting, and just thinking through the ways that we can be a blessing to our King and his kingdom. And that memory will, over time, increase your faith. And that measure of faith will just grow as we continue to invest in ourselves to get better. Just like an athlete, better your best, get that next time, be king of the mountain, do whatever you got to do to get you that next level. But don't forget that we need to do that in our heart, mind, and soul.
I love that.
I wanted to take a second. I want to hear more about your coffee. I mean, you own a coffee shop, and you were telling me about this new coffee that you have. I want you guys to hear about this because I'm fascinated by mushrooms. I'm fascinated by the new curve that's going on, and I'm constantly trying to learn.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. And it's called a chaga. We have a chagachino and chaga matcha. So ceremonial grade matcha tea, a green tea, very delightful. But then this healing mushroom that is up from British Columbia that trees get sick and this mushroom grows on it and they heal. So some wise person found out about this chaga mushroom. And to be honest with you, we just brought it in last week and I had it and felt great. But it's antioxidants, brain food. It's all of the things that you should be putting in your body. And it's just a tasty little drink.
Yeah.
Or you can either have it in the chagachino, which is with a shot of espresso. I recommend that if you especially have to clean something or do something fast, stupid, that's what we
your
do.
brain's firing?
Write a paper or 7. But have a bathroom close by. That's all I got to say. This stuff motivates and motivates. So the chaga matcha is a little bit calmer. But thanks for asking that. And they can look it up. Chaga is a delightful product. No hallucinogens or anything like that, but just really is good for the body.
Yeah, I think the whole thing with the mushrooms are fascinating, and you putting that in there is just shows there's levels to games and there's levels to good service. You're not full of sugar and gunk.
Yeah.
That you get when you pull into those other places. There's actually some starch and lack of better verbiage, starch in your drinks where there's actually something in there that's helping and cleansing and purifying and all these wonderful things.
Yeah.
You know what? not a lot of. How do they get a hold of the Covenant?
Covenant Coffee, we sell it at 1700 North Chester. We're also, when you go to Luigi's, you go to Mills, 24th Street, a lot of restaurants in town. Other folks carry our coffee. You can buy it at Sully's, and then our drips at some churches and also at our place. But they can also subscribe to it at covenantcoffee.org. And I think that's a great point you bring up. You know, one of the most addictive things, as you know, this is a nutritionist, I'm not telling you anything, is sugar. And so when you see those long lines in the drive-thru, and if you're in one, you're in it because of the sugar. People think it's the caffeine, but, you know, it's the sugar. And so people are paying $9 a drink to get a sugar high. And they got to go back the next morning. And so bring that $6 out to Covenant. we'll
actually
give
get
you
something that's going to
And
benefit
for a
you.
good reason,
Benefit
too.
you.
and the community.
Yes.
So
it benefits.
yeah. But thanks for asking that, because I do think that
Social media?
social media at Covenant Coffee, on Instagram, Facebook, the YouTube, if you want to see the bull stuff, is Covenant Community Services.
We're going to show some.
And there's the interview with the lawyer, life skills classes. Love to have you guys come out and talk about nutrition and exercise, because one of the things foster youth don't get is that mentor model.
Yes.
And that can show them, and here's the
tell
way.
Steve and I to do it. I'll do it if Steve will do it,
Yes.
Yeah.
because he's the one you really want. You really
Okay.
do. I'm just stage dressing.
Yeah. Well, man, I just appreciate let me come on and share what God's doing.
Randy, you're fascinating. I just really got to say that about you. Kudos to your faith walk, because it is about the faith walk. All this stuff has come out of the fact that you've been obedient.
Trying.
Yeah. Well, he's got a saying, Steve, and it's failing forward. Is that
Yeah.
what she says?
Just fail forward.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean,
Any
'cause
man who lets 1,000 people ride through his house is a great man by me.
I
I
love
don't
it.
like one person walking to my door.
Right?
I love it. I love it. See my shirt today, Steve?
Yes, I did.
You like it, huh?
Yes.
I love
That's a
your
good one.
TikToks with your Frenchies. Yeah. Lift heavy and pet dogs.
Oh man, come on. That's church.
Hey, great having Randy. Check out Covenant Coffee. Catch Steve at Sportslanders West. And thank you for subscribing, liking. A lot of comments. Leave comments.
Yes, we desperately need comments. And I don't mean like desperately, but we'd love to hear more feedback.
Yep. So God bless. Have a great day.
Thank you.